There we go. Now I'm listening. There, I didn't have my mic flipped. Hey, you guys, welcome back. This is part two of the week nine in review. The first part I kind of went over Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Mitch Trubisky, Sam Darnold, and some of my, you know, perspectives and theories on them moving forward. Um, in this part, also kind of covered, the Giants Cowboys matchup a little bit. I did want to kind of get into some games that I did not cover. I also didn't cover the AFC playoff picture. I did the NFC. If you missed it, my NFC picks for the playoffs was going to be three teams out of the NFC West. I have San Francisco winning the division. I have Seattle. I have the Rams beating out Dallas for a wild card, and I have Seattle beating out Carolina for a wild card, with Green Bay moving forward out the NFC North, New Orleans out the NFC South, and Philly out of the NFC East. Um, I didn't really get into the Oakland game yesterday. Oakland played Detroit, and I I just have to take my hat off. John Gruden um, still works in the NFL. Um, he had a really good opportunity to sit up there in the booth and speak with these coaches and talk to these players. He did quarterback camp for ESPN. He got to meet all these guys. He got to really get into college sports and see what was working on the collegiate level, how some of that stuff was transitioning to the NFL. He got to meet with all of these coordinators and all of these owners and GMs. He got to sit up there and study New England for 10 years in the booth with a bird's eye view, able to have unfiltered access to, and conversation with them. You know, he, people trusted him. They would talk to him about things, off camera. He just really got to take a real good look at what the NFL was, and the Oakland job was an amazing opportunity. Freaking NFL team in Vegas. What? He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to be really successful. Um, I still disagree with him to this day about the Mac trade, but hey, it is what it is. He wanted to come in and make sure he was the biggest dick in the room, and he is definitely that. He went and drafted, made some real good draft picks. They were able to walk away from Antonio Brown, which was a statement. Um, Tara Williams is fielding quite nicely. Josh Jacobs is a beast. That O line is great. Not completely sure Carr is the quarterback of the future, but he's fielding. He's done a good job. He's done a pretty good job this year. And I think they're going to be a tough out. So with that being said, I want to get right into my AFC playoff picture. I at this point believe that New England may drop one more game, um, if not two. I think they're going to drop at least one more game. I think that um, they will still be the number one seed in the AFC. It's likely, but I do think Baltimore could quite possibly win out. Their defense is healthy, and if Baltimore wins out, New England loses one. Um, I think that Baltimore take that first place seed. Um, Baltimore is definitely going to win the AFC North, running away. I think New England will be the number two seed of the AFC East. The AFC South. If Brissett misses any amount of time, um, I think Houston will be in a bird's eye seat for that division. So I got Houston. winning the AFC South as um, I give Houston a 3 seed. I give Houston a 3 seed. Um, AFC West is a mess right now. Denver is horrible. I think Kansas City will get back on track, but they have, 4 losses. San Diego had a big win yesterday, so they might make it interesting down the stretch. San Diego has this uncanny ability of playing like really, really good at the back end, the second half of the season in the NFL, making things really interesting out there. They could possibly, try to challenge Kansas City for that division. Um, I do not, I do not think that Kansas City will miss the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they will be in it. I'm pretty confident of that, especially once Pat Mahomes get back. They should be healthy, have their full complement of team, and they should do really well moving forward. So with that, you got New England, Baltimore, um, Houston, Kansas City. Hmm. And then it gets interesting. After the top four, it kind of gets interesting. Um, I think that if Brissett gets healthy, and any don't drop another game, um, they could definitely be there. I think Cleveland could possibly make a push. I don't know. That's just a horrific mess. I think Pittsburgh is more likely um, to do some damage. San Diego, maybe, possibly. Buffalo, Buffalo. They're definitely a wild card. And I think the last team in will be probably whoever does the best between San Diego and Pittsburgh. Yeah, San Diego and Pittsburgh. Um, excuse me. So, with that being said, that's my playoff picture. All right. Can't. I'm not really gonna go into uh, who wins what. But for right now, still a lot of football left to be played. A lot of this stuff is depending on health. The end of the season, a couple of teams got a couple of nice bye weeks here at the end. They can get healthy, so we'll see. We'll see. Um, I will say that Deshaun Jackson is awesome. I mean, Deshaun Watson is awesome, and I just don't think he'll be enough. I don't think they have enough. I don't think the offensive line is good enough. I do not think that defense is good enough. I think they will be exposed and they won't go far. Same with Kansas City. I think people are starting to learn how to play them a little better, and they are. I don't think they're fundamentally sound. I do think the favorites out the AFC will come as a product of New England and Baltimore again for the AFC Championship. I got maybe Baltimore potentially representing the AFC. If they stay healthy, their defense will keep them in games. They will not allow games to get out of hand. They will be playing from in front the rest of the way, all the way to the Super Bowl, I believe. Um, and which matches up with their style. Jimmy Smith came back. Anna Warsaw came back. The acquisition of Marcus Peters. I think those things are just tremendous to their defense. They generated a lot of pressure on Brady. They were there a couple of times. They put a lot of hits on him. Got a couple of sacks. Um, of course, the pick six. Um, it's they are dangerous. Earl Thomas on that back end, shoring everything up, basically playing the captain, point guard for that team, and I think that it's going to be really, really hard to stop them. I think they're complicated to stop, and I do believe, regardless of what you're hearing, that Lamar Jackson can put that ball in the air and beat you because you can't stop the run and the pass at the same time. Like, okay, you're going to crowd the box, you're going to take that away from us, you're going to play these zones, and I'm going to just, I'm going to hit you with some stuff underneath. I'm going to run out of zone. I'm gonna find a mismatch and I'm gonna take advantage of you. I'm gonna offset, and then I'm the X factor because, excuse me, if you're playing man to man, um, pretty much, and you got, I'm gonna beat whoever the man is that you got uh, defending me. So mm, I just think they're gonna be difficult. I think that New England does have a book on them now, and Belichick will go in the lab and try to do something to stop them. But I do believe that Belichick's defense was not built to play against the Baltimore Ravens. This version of the Baltimore Ravens, this version of Lamar Jackson, I think New England built their defense anticipating all full well that they were going to have to beat Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben Roethlisberger, and that passing attack. They built it for Patty Mahomes and that passing attack. San Diego and that passing attack. They looking around at the league and it's a lot of passing. And the NFC, you have the Aaron Rodgers and the New Orleans Saints and um, the Rams and all of these teams that like to do a lot of passing. I do not think that they were built to stop the run. If they are built to play from in front, um, and to shut you down in the past. I think even though Cleveland lost, I think that Nick Chubb showed them that they were vulnerable. And then Baltimore just capitalized on those vulnerabilities and made a day out of it. Um, so yes, I do think that Baltimore will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Now NFC is a much more cloudy picture. San Fran's defense is real. I think they will struggle, as Kyler Murray showed you, against off scheduled quarterbacks, off script quarterbacks. And the fortunate thing for them is not many of them in the NFC that they really have to probably gonna have to deal with um, in a playoff situation. They will have the bye. They will give them an opportunity to rest up going into the playoffs because they will win the division. I think they will have the best record in the NFC. Um, I do think that New Orleans uh, might be a more total team. Um, but it really depends on Kamara's health. I think Latavius Murray is more than sufficient backup, but Kamara is special. And you get into the playoffs, the special players have to do special things. And Latavius Murray is really, really good, but he's not special. And he can't bring the elements of explosion that Alvin Kamara could bring. So it really depends on how healthy Kamara gets. I do really think that they are one really good receiver away, but I think now that with Drew Brees, that the scheme just expands so much more than what it was for Teddy, than what it was with Teddy. So I do believe that New Orleans will be really really difficult to handle. Green Bay definitely is going to be a handful. Philly is going to be dangerous, but their secondary is just too suspect for the elite quarterback talent that you're going to be playing against. This is not Mitchell Trubisky that you're playing against, and I don't know. I think, I really like Philly. I think they're dangerous, but I just believe that, if it's up to their defense to win the game, I don't think they can do it. I don't think they're up to snuff against maybe like an Aaron Rodgers, um, even a Garoppolo. I don't think they could beat a Garoppolo. I definitely don't think they could beat a Breeze. And I think those two teams, three teams, Green Bay, New Orleans, San Francisco, are going to have a really good inside track. Whether it's Dallas or Philly that makes the playoffs, I have them being a first out, uh, first round out. They won't make it a game. Um, I do think that the playoff standings will really matter. Um, so it's gonna be it's gonna be tough. Um, Minnesota could be a tough out. They are playing like their hair is on fire. They got a little exposed. Poor play calling yesterday kind of cost them a game. But I think that they are fundamentally sound. Quarterback is not the greatest, but they are fundamentally sound. They are built to last. They have a competent quarterback, and they have a really good running back. They have a great offensive line. They have a really good defensive front. So I think that they could potentially be dangerous. Um, Let me think here. But I don't know who they could beat. So if you give San Fran the number one record in the NFC, okay, so who are you going to give the second best record to? I would think it would probably be either New Orleans or the Rams. I mean New Orleans. Um, I'm gonna lean towards New Orleans, and so if you go Saints with the number two, then that would mean you would have who would be your number three? Green Bay be number three. And if you got Green Bay at number three, then you would have the winner of the NFC East, Philly or Dallas, being team four, with the two wild cards being Seattle and the Rams. Um, it's four wild cards. I'm stupid. Hmm. So you have you have Seattle and the Rams, Minnesota, and I'm thinking Carolina. Call me crazy. I'm kind of thinking Carolina, the Panthers. Um, but I think if the Panthers make it, they'll be the worst seed. So you got Panthers as the eight seed, Minnesota as the seven. No, I would say Rams as the five, Minnesota's the six, Seattle the seven, Carolina the eight. Um, which would be putting Carolina and Green Bay against each other. Um, Interesting. I think that Carolina is the type of team that could definitely beat Green Bay. Um, Sound defensively, usually don't get beat much over the top. Um, yeah, it, but more likely it would be Green Bay. Then you would have Minnesota and so who that would be? That would be number three seed Green Bay going against Carolina, the eight seed. The four seed being the winner of the NFC East. So let's call it Philly. So then you had Philly going against Seattle. Um, Interesting game. Really, really interesting. I think the better team would be Seattle. Um, but if Philly keeps playing like this, it's going to be interesting. Philly would have home field advantage. Hell, it's for shits and giggles. It's going to change. Let's say, let's call it Seattle. Say Russell Wilson and them carry it on. All right. And then you would be putting the Rams. Would it be the Rams? Will be the fifth seed playing the sixth seed. The Rams will be facing. What did I say the thing on sixth seed was? San Francisco. Forgive me, y'all. I'm having a brain fart. What did it say? San Francisco, um, 1, New Orleans 2, Green Bay 3, Philly 4, Rams 5, Minnesota 6. Oh, so the Rams and Minnesota. Whew, that would be a hard game to call. Rams having home field advantage. I'm gonna go Rams just for shits and giggles, but that would be interesting. So going to the second round, what are we left with? San Fran going to be playing the lowest rated seed, which would be Seattle. Division game. Then you would have New Orleans playing the next lowest seed, which would be the Rams. Um, interesting. Interesting. New Orleans Rams rematch. Wow, that would be storybook. But I do believe that the Rams' offense and defense is superior to New Orleans. I think that with the acquisition of Jalen Ramsey, Rams has an opportunity to be really, really special. And I think that just cut this story short. I think the Rams will represent the NFC. I think they will beat San Francisco in the playoffs um, for the NFC title game, and it will be the Los Angeles Rams against the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. Um, and I think that will be one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a really, really long time. I honestly believe that. Um, I really do. I think that we're going to have a really, really enjoyable experience this year. So I'm calling it right here today. Uh, Week 9 NFL Monday morning review of the Sunday that preceded us. And I'm calling the Rams and Baltimore Ravens. I'm not going to pick a winner at this time. Uh, on to a lot of today's other topics. We got a lot of NBA going on, a whole lot of NBA. Zion's out till December. Paul George still struggling to get back healthy. Blake Griffin, Reggie Jackson's going to be out for some time. Um, if you play NBA fantasy, uh, I think you'll have a lot of fun if you don't play it. You know, you should try it. I think you'll really enjoy it. I just started playing this year and I'm having a ball. My dark horse team out of the West this year, um, I just think that they are explosive. I don't think that they can win it all. I do not think they could even represent the West in a championship. But the team that I'm really, really, really enjoying watching, and I think are really dangerous is the Dallas Mavericks. everybody's talking about the Utahs and Denvers and the Lakers and the Clippers and all of these teams. Portland, Dame Lillard is having himself a hell of a year. Um, he's looking really, really good. Portland's definitely a factor up there. Um, but Dallas Mavericks, Luka and Porzingis have meshed well. They play great off each other. The team looks really well. It functions well. I think they are another shooter, like a 3 and D type player, away from being elite. Like, well, I'm gonna say they're elite now. I'm not gonna say they're not elite. They're definitely elite, but they are a 3 and D player away from being challenging those top tier teams for an opportunity to represent the West in the NBA Finals. I don't think they're far away. I just think they need to um, shore up the bench. I think they need to be able to. I think the Clippers is going to be the standard. You're going to have to, be able to go, 8, 9 deep minimum. Clippers can go 10, 11 if need be. So I think that you need to kind of follow that model, shore them up. They need at least one or two more 3 and D guys, and definitely another um, shooter. I would say, or even another perimeter defender. Um, the other night, watched that game where they went into overtime with the Lakers, and it was it was a show. It was I really enjoyed it. They put on a hell of a show for us, and I found uh, it showed me a lot of what they were, um, and what they weren't. Um, I will say from there, I would go. Dwight Howard is playing exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. He has been worth the signing for the Lakers. I think he's done really, really well for them, and I think he's going to be a factor. Um, if he plays well for them, and grinds and plays to his potential, um, with him and Anthony Davis down there in the playoffs, LeBron moving and grooving everything. If they can get a few shots to fall from, you know, KP and Kuzma, you know, I think that they have an opportunity to really do some damage. I think they're fundamentally flawed, and I don't think they will go far. Um, the second round out, maybe in the conference championship. Um, but I do think that Dwight Howard has been a warm surprise for them. They didn't expect what he's contributing, and he's doing a really good job. Um, Phoenix is doing really well. Um, I think they're continuing to grow. Um, I think they have an opportunity to make a move this year if they continue to play well. Philly is the prize of the East. Boston, I think is going to regress significantly. Um, Brooklyn's still looking good. Kyrie's having an awesome year. Dragic, Dragic is playing really good coming off the bench for Miami. Um, the two guard up in Philly is playing really well for them as well, beside Ben Simmons. And here's news: Golden State is going to tank. Uh, Draymond's probably not going to play again for another 3 months. Play 1 or 2 games, then aggravate the injury and be out another 3, 4 months, and it's just going to continue to go like that. D'Angelo Hall is going to have a calf strain that keeps him out 2, 3 months. They're just going to play those bench guys and allow them to get some experience, and then next year be ready for a push. I really think they're going to tank and get one of these, supremely gifted, talented players in the draft that they always get when they picking at the top of the draft. They pretty much built that team around, you know, things that they drafted, players that they drafted. Sorry, I was watching the highlight of the Edelman fumble and Humphrey scoop and score. Um, yeah, so I I think it's going to be really good for them. Um, I'm okay with them tanking. They they'll be coming back next year fully loaded with Clay, Steph, Draymond, D'Angelo. Um, they might even move D'Angelo for a draft pick and players by the trade deadline um, because I think that would be too small. I do, and I don't really know if there's a free agent out there that they could bring in to afford to be that small as a big man um, that maybe could play with them. Either way, I think they're going to be in a really good position to get, you know, there'll be a lottery pick this year. It's some nice players coming out. I think they'll even make a move to even get higher in the draft to get the player that they want or they target if need be. Really smart, competent franchise. They're willing to take 1 year off in order to be able to compete for a championship again next year. I'm okay with that template of tanking. Um, so next year, Clay, Draymond, Steph, whoever the new person is, maybe D'Angelo, and a bunch of bench players that are experienced. Pascal playing really good. Playing Robinson the third is playing really really good. Though they can look through their bench and see, okay, who do we got that we can carry forward, so we can get back deep again. Because when they made that first push, without Durant, it was just Clay, Draymond, Steph, and a really 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 good bench. And that was it. Um, so I think that it should be interesting. Definitely, definitely, definitely interesting. Um, with that being said, moving on back to the East, I think the Knicks have put a nice little core group of players together. They're losing some really close games, winnable games. Um, Dennis Smith hasn't played for a couple of games for personal reasons. I think somebody in his family passed. And it can affect us all traumatically. We got to take that energy and use it for something that is productive for us. So I hope he channels that into just having an amazing season. Um, I think that Randall's playing really good. RJ Barrett, is having his ups and downs as a rookie. Mark Marcus Morris actually started the season playing really good. Now he can't buy a shot, but his defense is still there. His rebounds are there. Still, playing, competently well. Um, yeah, so I think that there's an opportunity um, for the Knicks to possibly win 40, 45 games. I'm just trying to think in the East, in no particular order, like what teams are we looking at for the playoffs here? Because I think as a franchise, you have to kind of do that and then measure yourselves up to those teams and see where you're at and determine whether or not your season is worth, uh, you know, winning. Um, Quite honestly, it's just the way the game is being played now, and uh, it's just the fight to the top. Is 5 or 6 guys in a draft that's really worth getting. Um, well, probably 10 more that are capable, functional, be good backups and role players and things like that. But the Knicks aren't in need of role players. They're in need of franchise players. They need at least 1 or 2 franchise players to hit for them. And we're hoping RJ Barrett could be one of those types of players. I think he has the ability to. He just needs to learn some consistency. I think Randall is the stud of the group. But I really do think that they would be better served um, trying to make a playoff push. The Knicks are going to have to really try to make the playoffs. They're going to have to make themselves interesting. They're going to have to become the Clippers of last year, where Clippers just won it with a bunch of guys. They got to the playoffs. They beat a couple of teams. They made it really interesting with the reigning NBA champions. Um, and their ownership group is really professional. They're really smart. They don't mind spending the money. They have a good culture. The coach is really good. He's a player's guy. He's been in it for a while. Championship caliber. Fizdale has been on championship coaching staffs. Um, he coached LeBron. He has a really good rapport with players. So I think that if they can make the playoffs, maybe they become interesting to someone. And then they could lure them. They could be like that Cleveland where people just like, dang, they just need somebody. I could go there and we compete for a championship. I could be that guy. Let me see who I can bring with me. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to bring everybody with them nowadays. Um, and it gives these guys an opportunity to develop. I think they could win 45 games. But again, I'm just trying to think if if you put them in the playoffs, who's in front of them? Okay, no specific order. Let's just look at the best 8 teams in the East. Philly has to be up there. Milwaukee, um, Philly, Milwaukee, Boston, um, Indiana, Toronto. Um, Jeez, trying to think who else. Um, East isn't really that good. Brooklyn, Chicago, no. Cleveland, no. Maybe Miami, doubtful. Say no. Atlanta, yeah. Charlotte, probably not. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now, but I don't really see a lot of teams. I think they could compete with some of the lower level teams like the Miamis and maybe even the Pacers. I think they could compete with those teams for a position. Um, I don't think they could compete with a Boston or maybe maybe a Boston, maybe, but definitely not a Philly or a Milwaukee. Um, I don't know. We'll see. They're gonna be interesting this year to watch. I do not feel like they should tank. Keep trying to get these players. I think they need to make the playoffs, get some free agents, and try to get this thing back on the road. Um, because you want to be available for this next free agent crop coming out, and you want to be in position to try to get someone that can make a difference in your franchise. Um, with that being said, a little short wrap up. Nothing really much. Just my opinions, but my personal takes on it. Just wanted to be clear. Um, I'm a Baltimore believer this year. I believe in them. I think they're gonna do it. NBA title. I think everybody should by now see the Clippers as a really attractive favorite to win. Um, Philly being a close second. It's been wonderful. You guys be real. Enjoy your day. Appreciate you. You know, uh, checking me out. Like the video. Um, Subscribe to the channel. Never miss a video. These things will get better and better. I'm in the process of moving, so I'm doing them on my phone. Um, and once I get settled into the new house and I have my station set up, it'll be a much better quality experience. But until the meantime, grind with me. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.